Viewers, a major development has emerged in the United Kingdom involving Prince Andrew, the younger brother of King Charles III. Former Royal Prince Andrew, born Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, has reportedly been arrested and is currently in police custody on suspicion of misconduct in public office. This allegation relates to his time serving as UK trade envoy, during which he is accused of potentially passing sensitive documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Documents reportedly suggest that the former prince may have leaked sensitive visit reports to Epstein while serving in his trade envoy role. Questions are now being raised about why he was allegedly sharing such reports with Epstein in 2010. It's important to note that Prince Andrew has repeatedly rejected the allegations leveled against him, even while acknowledging his association with Epstein. Viewers recall that because of his ties to the convicted sexual predator, he was stripped of his royal titles last year. Today, he was arrested on his 66th birthday by the Thames Valley Police. Reacting to the latest developments, King Charles III expressed his deep concern, stating that the royal family is offering its full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, "Nobody is above the law."
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest now. Joining us is Richard Fitzwilliams, royal commentator. Scott Lucas is Professor of International Politics at the University College Dublin. We have Angie Wong, Miami GOP committee woman. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Richard Fitzwilliams, let me ask you this. This appears to be the first time that a senior member of the royal family has been arrested in this fashion. And, many would say that things have changed. Perhaps a century ago, an incident like this might have been brushed under the carpet. Is it just the sheer seriousness of the gravity of the crimes, the fact that it's become a political issue? How do you think things have really panned out in this particular case, leading to the arrest of Prince Andrew?
Well, I think that we have to bear in mind that this issue has been going on for some years. In fact, Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor gave up his job as special representative for British trade in 2011 because of his friendship with the deceased paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. But even at that time, I don't think anyone would have thought that this would happen. It is unprecedented. You have to go back to Queen Elizabeth I, when Princess Elizabeth arrested by Queen Mary. You're thinking back hundreds of years, and there's absolutely no doubt that this is a crisis for the royal family. It's being compared to the abdication of Edward VIII in 1936, or possibly the aftermath of the Princess of Wales's tragic death in 1997. But there are several very serious problems here. Firstly, the royal family have been on the back foot dealing with this. They haven't known what exactly they are facing, and they still don't with the Epstein files throwing up new material every week. Secondly, of course, the King has emphasized transparency and that the palace will cooperate as required with the police. But we have at the moment and today 9 police forces probing on this issue. Now, one of the problems the royals face at the moment, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been arrested, and he's been arrested on the issue of confidential documents having been handed out. This, however, may be expanded. So it's a really serious crisis, very hard to know how to deal with it.
Right. Let me take this question across to Scott Lucas as well. Scott Lucas, the issue that's shocked the whole world when it comes to the Epstein files are the charges of pedophilia, that underage teenage women were being sexually exploited by the elite, by some of the most powerful politicians, businessmen across the world. The point that, is being made, or was referred to by the last speaker, that he's been arrested on charges of trading secrets or in some ways compromising the national interest there in the United Kingdom, and not so much on the sexual assault charges, which have led to resignations and all sorts of controversies globally. Do you find that a bit strange? And how certain are you that the kind of charges that, Andrew Mountbatten faces in terms of the sexual crimes that he has committed will also see justice?
I don't find it strange that it's actually the financial allegations in this case and in others that are bringing criminal charges and possible downfall rather than the sexual abuse charges, because there is an attempt to stonewall a lot of the material around the sexual abuse allegations, which we might discuss in another program. There hasn't been as much of an effort to stonewall some of the financial matters that have come out, which means not only are you talking about Andrew, the former prince who is under scrutiny, you could talk about the former UK ambassador to the US and former cabinet minister Peter Mandelson. You could talk about American figures such as the retail figure Les Wexner, and indeed Tom Pritzker, who just resigned as head of the board at Hyatt. There used to be a saying about Al Capone that in the end, for all his crimes, it was tax evasion that finally got him. So whatever we are still not able to find out about connections to Epstein's pedophilia, some people are being taken down for financial charges, whether or not they had any connection with other activities in which Epstein was involved.
Right. And let me bring in Angie Wong. Angie Wong, in the United Kingdom, we're seeing arrests take place. In other parts of the world, we've seen people resigning from top jobs, whether it's government, whether it's corporate, so on and so forth. The big question is that the bulk of the Epstein files contain people who are rich, powerful, some even politicians there in the United States. Now, whether it is the references to President Clinton or to President Trump, the point is, will we be seeing accountability for the nature of grave charges in the United States as well, not just in the UK and other parts of the world?
Yes, and I want to congratulate the Metropolitan Police for making one of the first arrests here in the United States. We're wondering when people will be arrested and held accountable for those who were discovered in the Epstein files. We still have not seen enough arrests, and certainly there are plenty of American names listed in those files for some of the sexual abuse and child trafficking. So we're looking forward to seeing that come down the pipeline for us. Certainly people are running scared. Bill Gates has already canceled a big meeting on AI in India, I hear, and other world leaders are now just going into hiding. In fact, they are in crisis mode. So we're starting to see now, everyone laying low, but there's going to be a lot of PR and crisis management happening in the days to come. But that does not excuse any of the accountability. Certainly, there are plenty of Epstein victims lining up, certainly in the halls of Congress, demanding for arrest and accountability.
Right. And let me take this question right back to Richard Fitzwilliams. Richard Fitzwilliams, as the monarch, explain to our viewers, he has, of course, legal immunity. That is when it comes to King Charles. Does he have powers to pardon or grant some kind of immunity to other royal family members as far as the law there in the United Kingdom is concerned? Because you're already seeing a situation where Keir Starmer, the UK PM, has signaled that action against Andrew before arrest is saying that no one is above the law. And King Charles has also issued a public statement that there will be complete cooperation with the investigating agencies. Explain to us what is the legal framework and what's the likely outcome as far as this case is concerned.
Well, so far as the legal framework is concerned, in Britain, the monarch is the fountain of justice. Now, people have said to me, why doesn't, for example, King Charles issue an apology? The point is, if he did, on behalf, say, of the royal family, that would mean that you were prejudging, or it could be argued, you were prejudging Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor before he even went to trial. This has to be avoided. The monarch has this particular above the law's status, but no other member of the royal family has. Equally, what we've clearly got is, as you mentioned, Sir Keir Starmer, who urged Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, though not by name, but the implication was clear, that anyone who had evidence should testify before Congress. That's something that he said he'd do, but he never has, and of course he can't be forced to. But what we're likely to see, and this has been touched on, what we're likely to see is an expansion of the charges if and when we're looking at, for example, the trafficking. We're looking, for example, at apparently one in the 1990s, which hasn't been explained in any detail, but it's the sheer number of, as I say, the 9 police forces probing and what they'll come up with. And then, of course, we're looking at how transparent Buckingham Palace will actually be. Now, that's another issue, because last Monday, this royal statement from King Charles said that the police would be cooperated with. A lot of people believe that There have been people at the palace who know a great deal, and this business, one of the other guests have mentioned, this worldwide network of paedophilia. I mean, the facts are that individuals who believed they were above the law are now finding that the law is catching up. It does take a long time. That is what has dragged the monarchy down. But under Queen Elizabeth, there was this keep calm and carry on mantra. And that is the great challenge now, because that is what they will have to do whilst the spotlight of the world will be on them, because the British royal family, this aspect of it has been so hyped.
Absolutely. And in fact, not least amongst them, the charges that Prince Andrew actually hosted them. We're talking about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at the Balmoral Castle there in Scotland. I'm sorry, that's about all the time we have this evening. Richard Fitzwilliam, Scott Lucas, Angie Vaughan, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us and breaking this down for our viewers.